Hello, today is Thursday, February 13th, 2019. I'm Joe Schmidt from TC2, and this is Staying Connected. This is part 2 of our 2-part podcast series, Catching the 5G Wave. I'm again joined by TC2's Technology Director, David Lee. Today, we are going to look at what 5G means for the enterprise and offer up some recommendations for what you need to do in 2020. David, welcome back.
Thanks, Joe. Glad to be back.
So, David, what does 5G mean for the enterprise?
If you want to take advantage of the faster speeds and improved network functionality, you're going to need a new device, either the end user device or a part of your local office, branch office. Since 5G is based on a new and different standard, current smartphones, wireless interface cards, IoT sensors, and the like won't connect to a 5G network. The new 5G devices will be backward compatible and will work on legacy 4G networks and frequencies. In fact, given the massive undertaking to build out 5G, devices will likely spend more time connected to 4G networks than 5G, particularly outside of cities. The good news for enterprises is that the 5G will do much more than just allow faster downloads on a smartphone to watch higher quality videos, as an example, because of the higher speeds and promise lower latency and improved reliability and availability of those 5G connections. Companies can replace fixed line access circuits used in their data networks with 5G wireless connections. Standing up a new site will become a lot quicker if 5G is available in an area where a company needs it.
Now, 5G promises to make the Internet of Things, or IoT, a reality. And there are many that believe that 5G will enable the mass deployment of IoT. Now, there are many service providers that are expecting that IoT could add anywhere from 25 to 80 billion new connections to their networks by 2025. These IoT devices, they're going to include autonomous vehicles, water meters, public lighting, environmental monitoring, future railway communications, robots, drones, security cameras. Well, I think you get the picture. Pretty much anything that can have an IP address might be connected to the network.
Yeah, that's right, Joe. There is much research and testing of 5G taking place by standards bodies, telecom equipment manufacturers, universities, and mobile carriers. In addition, the International Telecommunication Union, or ITU, and the 3GPP, which we talked about in the last episode, have developed several use cases for the application of 5G services that include, for example, enhanced mobile broadband, or EMBB for short. EMBB appears to be the use case that is initially being marketed and deployed by the mobile carriers. Some examples of EMBB include faster download speeds, essentially increasing the speed for the smartphone for the fixed locations at home and businesses, ubiquitous and high-speed broadband in sporting stadiums or other venues, support for ultra-high definition 4K and above broadcast, and virtual and augmented reality AR and VR type services. Massive Machine Type Communications, or MMTC, is a second use case I want to bring up. Examples of that include smart buildings, environmental monitoring, public lighting control, fleet management, and smart meters. Those are the kinds of things you mentioned before, Joe, as well. The third one that is really, this use case is really getting more in the news, and as a matter of fact, a couple of days ago, there were some legislation trying to be reintroduced that covers this actual use case, which is the ultra-reliable and low-latency communications, or URLLC use case, and other standards body just call it critical communications. And this use case includes autonomous vehicle, which is obviously, self-driving cars and or self-driving shared riding services such as Uber and Lyft would fall under this use case. And railway control, traffic control, monitoring and safety, e-health including remote surgery, and warehouse factory robotic controls. Now this is where latencies need to be very low and the connection has to be ultra reliable, hence the name of the use case. So the latencies that are in the standards are at or below 5 milliseconds, which anyone knows about broadband connections from your cable provider or even a MPLS connection. That's incredibly low and short. But that's what's needed for these very ultra reliable safety services. And then would require the edge servers that we talked about in episode 1, co-located at the cell base stations. Next use case is vehicle to everything. This again is related to the autonomous vehicle industry. And so the V2X, as its short form, is defined as the transfer of vehicle information from a vehicle to any other entity or node that may affect the vehicle. So it is the vehicle communication system that includes, for instance, vehicle to infrastructure, the surrounding infrastructure, vehicle to a network, or vehicle to vehicle, so that you can more safely drive your car with or without autonomy built in. Right, so you're communicating with other vehicles and with traffic lights and other infrastructure to make a smart city work effectively and to drive more safely. And then even vehicle to pedestrian. This use case has come up whereby if there's a lot of traffic or, there's a warning signal to a smartphone when someone's trying to cross the street and the vehicle is in autonomous mode, they can warn the device that's on the pedestrian. And the primary benefits of this V2X end user is the road safety, traffic efficiency, trying to reduce cities' carbon footprints by reducing energy consumption.
Before you get too excited, you need to know that 5G, it isn't widely available today, especially in the U.S. There are a limited number of 5G smartphones available for purchase today, and frankly, most have a price tag that exceed $1,000. Samsung and LG, they sell 5G smartphones, but interestingly, Apple has opted to wait and is expected to include the required 5G technology in its iPhone 12. Chinese equipment companies like Huawei that we've talked about and ZTE, they offer 5G compatible smartphones, but you won't be able to buy those if you live in the U.S. because of the current privacy and security concerns the U.S. has with China. Now, you should also expect new rate plans and pricing structures to be introduced by the service providers. As we said, 5G is about data. It's about lower latency if it's needed and the ability to connect more devices and to allocate the network functionality to support the users or the application's requirement. So while some current rate plans are being offered as 5G rate plans, we expect rate plans and other pricing to evolve as user demand and user requirements evolve.
That's right, Joe. And we should also point out that 5G does have its skeptics and controversy. A recent Wall Street Journal survey of CIOs revealed that most felt the technology was overhyped, and many don't believe there's an intimate advantage to using 5G, given it's not ubiquitous even in most cities and urban environments at this point in time. There's also worry that using equipment from foreign providers such as Huawei and ZTE could open the enterprise to spying and other security breaches, which we talked about before. So on the one hand, CIOs want to know how quickly 5G will be rolled out and how densely coverage will be deployed. But on the other hand, some are concerned that 5G wireless service with the requirement to have 10 times more antennas will be transmitting radio wave signals and could potentially cause a health risk to users and the environment.
Okay, so what do you need to do in 2020? Well, number one on your 5G to-do list should be to ask your wireless service provider to show you where they have 5G deployed today, where they plan to deploy it over the next 6 to 12 months, and to share their 5G service roadmap. Now, be aware that some providers may tout that they have 5G deployed, but it's likely not true 5G. It's probably 4G LTE advanced, and it's probably marketed as 5GE. Now, most service providers, they seem to be blanketing densely populated urban areas first to get the most bang for their investment buck, which makes sense. And then they plan to deploy the service to less populated areas later.
That's right, Joe. And ask about the devices they're going to support, the new machine-to-machine and IoT service offerings, and the rate plans and pricing. Get your hands on a new 5G smartphone and a wireless interface card. Test out the new 5G service compared to what you currently get with 4G and evaluate the signal strength and how it compares to your fixed line data. Determine if the new speed and service functions really make a difference to how you work today and improve your end user's productivity and how you could work in the future. Finally, start planning for a move to 5G. Know that when the service is available, your users are going to want it and the devices they have today aren't going to work. Also know that your demand and requirements are going to change and you're likely going to want more data and to take advantage of those promised latency and availability service levels. If you haven't competitively procured your wireless service in some time, now would be a good time to be thinking about testing the market for what will almost certainly be a game-changing technology in the years ahead.
Okay, great stuff. Thanks, David. Now, if you'd like to learn more about 5G and what it means for your company, or maybe you have other ICT lifecycle needs, feel free to contact David, me, or any of our LB3 and TC2 colleagues by giving us a call or sending us an email. You can also stay current by subscribing to Staying Connected, checking out our websites, or by following us on LinkedIn.